for May, this is the monthly meeting, May 14th, 2018. I would like to call the regular meeting to order. We have a pledge allegiance.
Never had to.
I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call.
Victor? Here. Chapman?
Here.
Shay?
Here.
Lawrence? Here. That's a 15.
Here. Okay. Yep. I'd like to see if we can audit in a motion. Oh, no, excuse me. Always skip your monthly meeting minutes. Can we get approval of the monthly meeting?
I make a motion we approve.
April 11th, 2018. Second. It's in a rush. All in favor?
Aye. We got to talk about it, but you got some questions.
Oh, any discussion? I'm sorry. Any discussion? I don't mean minutes. No? Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Audit of the bills and treasury report to town fund.
You know, we have also that special meeting one. What, has that one been approved or no?
It's not on the agenda.
What's
So
that
approve
minute?
it? We can't approve it now. Okay.
Mr. Supervisor, can I just comment on
Oh,
it?
okay, that's not listed, okay.
I need to make a comment, sir.
Sure, go ahead.
Robert's Rules of Orders, when it comes to minutes, says that it's supposed to be a represented stated fact and not opinion.
Right.
And in the clerk's minutes, she says that Gasser does not want to be a team player. Now, that might be her opinion, but as you know, I've met privately with you, Mr. Shea, you, Ms. Rachel, Ms. Victor. We have, you know, I might not get along with one person here, but every time that any of you trustees has ever emailed me, I've always either got back within 24 hours or given you a phone call. Mr. Supervisor, you and I talk, and I just think, you know, I didn't even see these minutes, but when I see Gasser is not a team player, you know,
That's not what it says. No, what it said was, Mr. Chapman said you need to be with your team, and you don't want to seem, you want to be separate from. I was repeating what he said. Well, I'm repeating what he said in the meeting.
said that Mr. Gasser does not want to be a team player. So I get it, because this is what the clerk gets to do, and that's what clerks do. They may take the minutes, but I'm just pointing it out because I don't think that's accurate at all. My guys.
So when a trustee says something, I don't say what they say? Is that what the board wants?
Unless you would like to repeat verbatim what everyone says.
Okay.
That's all I got.
All right, thank you,
Mr.
Thank you.
Supervisor. I sincerely appreciate that.
You know, I would like to see if we can approve the expenditure of the town fund for $184,633.55.
Did you vote to approve?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so it's
So we're, okay. Okay. Any discussion regarding the town fund?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I would like to remove some bills for separate consideration and voting. The first being for Jack Barrett. The second being a reimbursement slip for trustee Chapman. Third being a reimbursement slip for trustee Victor. The fourth being a bill for valet parking, and the fifth being a bill for pizza in Springfield, Illinois.
Okay.
all right, as long as we're, there's also one in here that involves, the town fund involves a, check for the McHenry County Historical Society, and I'm on the board there. Although I get no remuneration, I will be abstaining. I don't know if we want to pull that one out or just list it as.
I would, yeah.
Okay, let's pull out that one. That was for the McHenry Historical Society.
Right.
Oh, and trustee, Lawrence, could you, I know you're drinking Monster, so you want to go faster than me. Can you please?
The first one is document or a bill from Jack Barrett, a
Okay.
contract employee of the clerk, which I don't believe is a valid contract, and I won't be voting
Okay,
for
okay.
that bill.
Thank you. The other one, can you have me, please?
Are we doing them
All right,
individually or?
let's go, each one. Please. Seconded. No, it's second.
The second would be,
She just said she was gonna pull him, wanted to pull him.
No second.
I make a motion for separate consideration and voting. So you can still vote yes.
I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna not vote for these bills, but I don't know what the plus pizza one, but I still think that we should honor a trustee's right to, at least if she wants to have special roll call on each one of them, we'll do it then. I can, you know,
Well, if there's no second, it fails.
okay.
Well, you can second.
Okay, well, I mean, this, I think we're gonna vote for these. Okay. I would, no, so we don't have a second, the second one you have?
The second one was, I make a motion to separate for separate consideration and voting, reimbursement for trustee Chapman and Victor for, their expenses of respectively $200 something and $300 something for a trip to Springfield, for what was called a Township Topics Day, which turned out to be a Township Lobbying Day on behalf of the non-government entity Township Officials of Illinois, in which I attended, and we were directed to lobby, and I quote, lobby on behalf of township officials in Illinois' interests rather than our constituents' interests, and I severely disagree with it. I do not believe it's a appropriate use of taxpayer funds, and I believe that it should not be paid.
Okay, next one.
There was a bill for valet parking from the Wyndham Hotel. It doesn't say who submitted it.
I don't know what that one is. I did not see that. Can anybody park? Is there a bill that you saw?
Mm-hmm. It's in the bills that were emailed.
Okay.
Was it $7?
Good.
Oh, okay, Valley.
The hotel garage.
Excuse me, we can't hear.
There was a bill for $10 for parking in the hotel, parking garage.
No.
Okay, no second, motion fails.
Okay, next one.
Lastly is the check for the Historical Society, which I motion for separate consideration and voting for the check for the Historical Society, which Trustee Shea mentioned previously.
Is there a second?
Second. Okay. Do we vote on the Historical Society?
The board to remove the bills.
Right, vote from the bills? Okay. All right.
Victor, we're voting to remove this from the bills.
To vote on it
The
separately, yes.
Historical
Okay.
Society,
Yeah.
vote on it separately.
Mhm.
Chapman,
Yes.
Shea,
Is abstaining. I'm abstaining on that one for the historical society.
Lawrence,
I don't believe that that's an appropriate use of taxpayer funds, nor
are you gonna remove it first off? We're only voting to remove it.
I don't believe that that's an appropriate use of taxpayer funds,
All right.
nor is it a function of townships, and so.
Mr. Chairman, a point of order.
Hey,
We're supposed to
yes.
discuss it after we vote on it.
Okay, yeah, I know, yes.
Okay,
Okay, any discussion? I think you,
all right, now she's discussed it, okay.
all right, can we vote on that now? Okay, motion to approve the Historical Society bill
Can we do that?
I thought you just.
We voted to pull it. She discussed it. Now we're gonna vote to pay it or not pay it.
Sorry, I didn't finish
But
my
did you have a
sentence, but,
motion?
okay.
I just asked, or to give a motion to approve the road district goals.
No.
We can pull this one, right?
Oh, yeah, we made a motion to approve them.
We didn't get that. Or she wanted to pull it first before we made a motion.
Okay, can we get a motion to, can we get a motion to approve the historical society bill for $1,000? Okay, any second?
Motion.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll second.
okay. Okay, so can we have a roll call then?
Victor?
Go ahead, discussion.
I don't believe it's an appropriate use of taxpayer funds. I don't believe it's a function of townships, and I don't believe it should be paid.
Well, one of the things about donating for the township, it gives all the
Dan, I
schools.
think if you're abstaining, you shouldn't be discussing the matter at all.
Any other discussion?
There is, and let's talk a little bit about some of the great things that the township does in cooperation with some other community groups, including the County Historical Society. All of the residents in the township will have, there's a week dedicated to us. I believe it's at the end of June, where everyone will get free admission into the museum. So you can bring your families, your friends, and you can find all about the founding of our county, our township, the local communities. There's also, when they come out and teach kids at the schools. So the Historical Society is part of every village and city and in our county, in the fact that they hold the historical records and present them. There are presentations at the library. It's a great program of education, and it's a benefit to our taxpaying residents.
Is it still available even without this payment of $1,000?
No,
Or is this just a discount?
no, this is to be a supporter of the.
So you can still go? you
Yes,
just have to
oh
pay
yes,
extra.
absolutely. yes,
Right, so
Yes.
I don't believe it's a function of townships.
So we have a motion now to approve the town fund.
No, we gotta vote for the paying this bill
Oh,
first.
okay.
Victor?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes,
Shay, abstaining. Lawrence?
No.
Wetzel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we need a motion to approve the
Motion,
Town
motion to approve the town fund. So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? Victor?
Yes.
Chapman?
yes.
Shay?
I have to stay on, well, is
We
that,
already voted.
oh, the
Town
whole town fund without that one?
Yeah.
All right, I vote yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Wetzel?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Beginning. I would like to entertain a motion to approve the general assistance fund for $11,731.37. Motion.
I'll make a motion to. Second.
All right, I have to abstain on check 9347.
So we need to abstain from whole check 9347 from the fund and from the fund and vote on that separately.
No, you don't need to, you just make a note on the vote that he
He
abstained.
just abstains when he
Okay.
votes.
Yeah.
That's
You
it.
don't need to pull it.
You don't need to pull it? Thank you. Okay, that's easier. So then, any discussion? Any discussion? No, okay. Roll call please.
Victor?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Shay?
Yes, with an abstention.
Oh, wait,
Just
I'm
need
sorry,
to
you just
abstain.
abstained, sorry.
You just need to abstain.
I abstain.
Okay. Lawrence?
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes. Thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt the road and bridge fund for $316,179.25.
I make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
I would like to have discussion that I don't approve with the legal bills once again. There's been no movement with Union 150, I don't agree with those. 62,000.
My discussion is that, if we do not pay this bill, we will be sued and not only have to pay our own legal bills to defend it, but we will also have to pay the legal bills of when we ultimately fail that lawsuit.
I don't know if we really need to discuss it because we need a second to, trustee Victor's motion. No other second.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay. I think, anybody else want to make a point regarding that? Legal bill?
I think for everyone who is complaining about legal bills, for this to be denied, it will only increase the legal bills. That's all I have to say.
We did have a motion by me and a second by.
Right, does Melissa want to pull that bill? Is she making a motion to pull that bill?
I make a motion to pull that bill and to also not approve any bills with any attorneys that do not have malpractice insurance.
Motion. Victor. Do I have a second?
No, I'll second it so we can bring it up and get an opinion on it.
Okay.
All right, Jim, is that workable? My experience has been I've never run into an attorney other than really weak ones that didn't have insurance, that type of insurance.
I haven't thought of it from that perspective, Dan, as far as whether you could deny paying a bill really based upon someone not having malpractice, legal malpractice insurance, or some type of professional liability insurance. Usually, I think you would probably
Have to have,
at least get a policy in place or state that you need malpractice insurance to ensure that those attorneys can purchase it when they, submit their bills. And I think, I was asked by Trustee Victor to draft up a resolution for professional liability insurance. I don't think it hasn't been adopted yet by the board. So we're sort of sitting here with attorneys out, in this case, I think Mr. Hanlon, sitting out there that doesn't know that he has a requirement to have legal malpractice insurance. And suddenly his bill is being denied for that reason. That just seems fundamentally to be not necessarily a good policy. We were told him last month that it would be a different story.
Further discussion?
I think that it's a good idea for the attorneys to have legal malpractice, but I haven't say that,
we should put it on the agenda to, if we're going to adopt something like that, we should have it on the agenda and then adopt it as a.
we have it on the agenda here. We do have it on the agenda later, but.
But then we would be adopting it today, which is.
Right, I get that. So right now, I think it's, we should compliment the trustee for.
I'll withdraw my motion on this bill. I do agree that it does have to be paid. However, I am not in favor of it and I do not believe it is right.
All right, so then we just have any other discussion regarding the road and bridge fund? Okay, I think we can have a roll call, right?
Right.
Okay, roll call, please.
Victor,
No.
Chapman,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Shay,
Yes.
Bledsoe.
Yes. All right, equipment and building fund. We have a system, so it's a little slow. But it works. I'd like to entertain a motion to pay the equipment and building fund for $46,549.81.
Make a motion.
And I'll second it.
Any discussion? None? Roll call, please.
Victor,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Shay.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Menzo.
Yes. Okay, public speakers. Speakers are welcome to address the crowd or the board. Should be the other way, maybe. 3 minutes. Anybody would like to speak? We'll lay back.
I, am I supposed to stand?
You can do
However you want.
whatever you feel comfortable with.
Thank you for allowing me to speak before the board. As I felt it was important that I address this board meeting tonight as a staff member of this township. I'm Colleen Shore, an administrative assistant for the Highway Department of the Algonquin Township. I suppose one would have to live under a rock to not know something about the articles online or in the newspapers regarding our own place of employment here. However, imagine my surprise and shock to find out our department is considered a contributing factor to a hostile work environment at the township and that we are being forced to move to an outbuilding. Because Dorothy, my coworker, and I are busy doing daily mundane tasks and managing and planning the senior bus, recycling, prepping for the brush pickup, drop-off, payroll, etc., we find it very difficult to comprehend how we are now being considered a part of the media melee, which is resulting in our office being moved. Both Dorothy and I consider ourselves fortunate in that we have a mutually beneficial working relationship with every single person employed by the Algonquin Township. And I would say probably most of the trustees as well. In fact, I think we'd both be remiss if we didn't state that many of our coworkers are also friends. We do not participate in any of the external drama, nor do we bring it into the office. Hence, I'd like to say that we feel that the burden of proof then is on you as a board to please present documentation of all the alleged hostility that is going on here within the Algonquin Township Highway Department office within work hours, please. Could I please see numerous police reports? Could you please present to me the myriad of documented complaints from constituents, employees, and patrons that have observed all the infighting, yelling, shouting, or the like stemming from the Highway Department office during work hours? It's my understanding that much of this hostility that I apparently have not witnessed during work hours is between my boss, Highway Commissioner Andrew Gasser, and our township clerk, Karen Lukasik. Ironically, however, both Andrew Gasser and Karen Lukasik are rarely ever in the office during work hours because Andrew is out on the road and Karen is working as a teacher as well. Ironically, however, both Andrew and Karen are virtually never in the office simultaneously. It is also an irony to me that.
You have 30 seconds.
Okay. Anyway, so once again, prior to uprooting our office, which primarily affects Dorothy and I, wouldn't it behoove you as a board to question the two primary witnesses to this alleged hostility and animosity that we supposedly work with them on a daily basis? Seems you might want to get the facts rather than believing all the media stories, hype, rumors, and online chatter about what our daily life, work life entail. Much of this feels like contempt prior to investigation. Honestly, it seems a much more viable option than to disrupt an amicable work environment and cost taxpayers thousands more needless dollars to move our office. If I were a tax-paying constituent of the Algonquin Township, and I am, I would request proof of a hostile work environment during office hours. We'd love to see that actual documentation, and thank you again for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you. Was there someone behind you, or is that your, I couldn't tell. Okay. Yes, sir. The gentleman in black.
Okay. Well, hello, I'm Sean Wheeler. I am a member of the Cary Grove Chamber of Commerce. I am actually on the executive board, and I am one of about 420, as are you, the township members of that community, a wonderful community, which I've written us a little bit of a letter here. Okay, I want to thank you on behalf of the board and as you, a part of my family, in giving back and reinvesting in the community as we do. As members, founding members of the Chamber of Commerce, the Township has been members for about 56 years. Okay. It's been a really great relationship, and I think we contribute quite a bit with the 421 members we have. This year, we have doubled down and been very thankful to be able to invest more in the children and scholarships in the local high schools and the rest of the township that we have that apply. In these 56 years, you've helped us participate in countless festivals, parades, things of that nature, as you're all very well aware. And this year, too, we've managed to have $7,250 in business scholarships to reinvest in those children that live in this township. Criteria. It has been our pleasure to work so closely with the township in many activities, such as Touch a Truck, getting, as we are a hub, you know, for the Chamber of Commerce, people call us very frequently not knowing where to turn. We provide much information. Very frequently, it's on behalf of our township. We provide a page 18, in our community guides, which are distributed to about 10,000 copies. Those community guides outline our wonderful trustees, the rest of our board, and some information about brush pickup, all the things that you have to offer. I am here simply to say thank you. I, like you, volunteer far too much time and far too many things. It's very difficult, but I know that as a family together, we can make things better in the future. We can move forward, and we're very thankful to have you be here for us, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, here. All right. Next speaker. Go ahead. Al?
I'm here for the third time to ask you to pass a resolution to send to the Illinois Department of Transportation and municipalities within the area where people commute down Route 62. Now, I know none of you do that. You probably never, very rarely go Route 62. All right, well, then you know what's going to happen when the speed limit goes down from 55 miles an hour down to 45 miles an hour. And rest assured, it will happen if they put curbs in. And if you guys don't take a stand, who's going to represent the people that are going to really be pissed off? And I remember when the speed limit was taken down from 65 to 55 miles an hour. And I remember the pilots living in Coventry who called me up with not very pleasant things to say because their trip was that much longer. You can do something to stop this if you will. But, you know, I've been asking for this since last fall, and nobody will put it on the agenda. I do not understand why. I thought you were here to serve the constituents of Algonquin Township. Instead, you're ignoring them.
All right, next.
Yeah, I have a few comments. Maybe we could address them to Ms. Victor and Mr. Chapman. You have an ongoing vendetta against the highway commissioner. I'm not always approving what Andrew does. He's trying hard, but it is obvious it's harassing. And to second guess for lay people to interpret an attorney's billing or motions that are dismissed and everything else, that is out of the question. You're not an expert. I know, Mr. Chapman, you like to quote the statutes, that's great. I guess you like to read them. If you use that as use substances in an argument, somebody may say you're practicing law without a license. And it is obvious that this is going to go on. Your local 150 suit is here because Robert Miller brought local 150 to Algonquin Township. The taxpayers didn't bring them. Robert Miller brought them here. That's why we have legal bills. As far as legal bills, we get them from the clerk. And also, going on to another point, you say there's a list of responses. I don't know what that list is, but it has to do responses to FOIAs. I never got a response to a FOIA from the clerk. And I have documentation of that. When you talk about her duties that take away from this, if she is a teacher, I'd like her to post her curriculum vitae online, because there are an extensive biography when she ran for office. As far as asking for, excuse me, ma'am, I have my 3 minutes here.
Right to speak.
Please, go ahead.
Take off 20 seconds from Mr. Cassick and put them on my 3 minutes. Also, when you suggest, say, oh, what will an attorney, what can we get for 150,000? That is a ridiculous suggestion. As far as moving the township road commissioner's offices, that again, is harassment. What would you have told Robert Miller a year ago? Robert, we're gonna move your office. You know what Robert Miller would give you? It would not be portable. There's no real reason why the highway commissioner has to move. If you people can't go along and you're allocating space, you want to have a timeout room for a lot of people. And as far as moving office space, there's no necessity. And if you can't grow up, it's an embarrassment to everybody in this township. This is what costs the township money, not any attorney's fees, because it's bad behavior that's generating a lot of this. So if you continue to do this, you're going to be the reason why you're abolished, and I hope it comes soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we have any
There's
more?
another-
Yes.
I would like to speak also, Ann Majewski, Barrington Hills.
Thank you.
I think every official in the township should be ashamed of themselves for not wanting the truth to come out about what happened under the prior highway commissioner's time period here. There is no reason why each one of you should not be questioning the suspicious bills and charges that we all see on a regular basis in the media and have the ability to FOIA. Anyone who does not question that is in my mind, not ever worthy of a vote to be on this, to be a trustee or to be a supervisor again. That goes to the extent that as a taxpayer, as a trustee, you should be trying to ask, why didn't Bill Prim investigate this? He's a sworn officer. Why isn't the state's attorney doing more? Why aren't people here addressing that? You're attacking Mr. Hanlon, you're attacking Andrew. If it weren't for him getting in this position, these far-fetched bills and practices would have never come to light. So everyone who wants to sweep them under the table is in my mind, not deserving of the public office that they hold. I also concur that the road district, highway department and road district office should not be relocated out of this building. That it's always been there. People expect it to be there to use more money, spend more technology, to put it somewhere else. Again, as my mother stated, is really just this ongoing bickering and bitching, and it needs to end.
Anybody else?
Yeah, there's more.
Okay.
Okay, so part two, because I was only able to get half of my story out at the last meeting in April.
I'm sorry. We'll give you an extra time.
Okay, I'll wait for you. Go ahead, whatever you gotta do.
Say your name, it's all yes.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
You should know me by now.
I'm sorry.
Deborah Jensen in Lake in the
yes,
Hills.
okay.
I apologize, I forgot about that. So anyway, part two. And because what I spoke about at the April meeting happened again during the recess at the April meeting. I was hostily, very disrespectfully confronted by Trustee Victor. Again, shall I step aside and wait? Oh, okay. With me no less than 6 times expressing that I was not willing to have a conversation with her that only ended after the last 3 times I simply stated to her to go away and to leave me alone. That's the only thing that would get her away from me, as she had me pinned in my chair. So after the first confrontation, okay. After the first confrontation at the March meeting, Melissa immediately proceeded the next morning with not only privately, but publicly calling me a racist. So I did want to point out that Mexican is not a race. Mexican is a nationality, much like Italian would be, Norwegian would be, Colombian would be. Mexican is not a race. But most importantly, what she thought that someone else had heard never happened. It didn't happen. What was overheard was, would you take pictures of the meeting, not Mexican, meeting? How the word meeting can be misconstrued or misunderstood as Mexican is beyond me. Secondly, Dave Chapman, or Trustee Chapman's name, was never mentioned, as Mr. Victor claims that it was. The motivation for that, I'd love your attention, please. The motivation for that is something only the victors can explain, because you were never brought into the conversation, and as I stated at the last meeting, not one trustee's name was mentioned that night during conversation at all. The only name that was mentioned during our conversation was Stephen Hawking. And I do have a witness to that conversation that can back all that up.
Thank you.
When I said that I expected a response, it was not another confrontation and attack is not the response I was expecting. I would like the trustees and the board to address their behavior and how constituents are addressed outside of the meetings, but on the property of the township. Thank you.
Thank you. I usually don't respond to things, but I've known Trustee Victor. I've always seen it active.
So one of us is lying.
The most professional way.
And so one of us is lying that didn't happen?
I'm not gonna.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying, what I know of is she disagrees with me on many occasions, but I've only seen her act very professionally. And so, but that's just my.
And there are witnesses, and you're
Okay,
not.
all right.
And I have witnesses.
Okay, all right.
No, you don't.
I just wanted to.
No, you don't.
I want to
No,
make
you
my
don't.
statement.
We have another public comment.
Okay, yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Jerry Kowalski. I'm in the village of Algonquin. I'm here as an observer, more or less. I've heard so many complaints, so many commentary, good, bad, and indifferent. The arguments going back and forth between the trustees, the clerk, the road commissioner, okay? It's getting a little tiresome. I mean, you don't realize how many people out in Algonquin, Barrington Hills, Lincoln Hills, they scratch their heads, they shake their heads, they don't comprehend why intelligent people can't get along. All right? This is almost like the Democrats and Republicans in this country right now. This is how your board, and Andy, I'm sorry, yourself at times too, I don't stand between Karen and Andy, the jawboning back and forth. I don't understand it. Very unprofessional. The other thing, I believe Andy should still remain here. He should not be moved to another building. It's ludicrous to relocate him and his crew. Again, I'm just an observer, and this is worse than when the northern western bypass in Algonquin was going through in the late 90s, early 2000. The drama, the bitterness, the hatred between folks in Barrington Hills, Algonquin, that went back and forth, back and forth. I was at Jacobs High School and got booed when I was on stage trying to make a point, okay? And I have all respect for all of you to give your opinion, and you should be able to differ at times, but you have to stop it. You really have to come together, and you have to engage in professional dialogue. This is getting the township nowhere. And you're starting to become the laughing stock out of all the townships. You got Bob the barber. He's nipping at the bit to abolish townships. You have a lot of people that are talking big time to have townships abolished. And this type of action and inaction between all of you not being able to work together is proving his point. Please, work together. You've accomplished a lot of good things. You could continue to accomplish a lot greater things. Just talk to each other in a civil dialogue.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Megan Wilson, I signed in.
It doesn't matter, you speak. Either way.
Short and sweet.
Just get your name and we'll say.
Oh, Megan Wilson.
Thank you.
Megan Wilson. You can check the sign in. So to my point, I'm going to respectfully request that the trustees remove for payment any and all bills resulting from the illegal contract that was entered into with Jack Barrett. The township code does not permit the clerk to enter into such a contract. Furthermore, the contract contains an evergreen clause, which is not legal for public bodies. If the clerk feels she needs help with her workload, I suggest she begin the process of hiring a deputy clerk, for which she does have the authority with the authorization of the township board. I would also like to note on 2 occasions, the trustees have removed a bill slated for payment from the packet. It's my understanding that this bill was lawfully presented and the monies are available in the corresponding line item of the budget. Since there appears to be no lawful reason to refuse payment, I fear that our township will once again incur necessary legal fees. I implore the trustees to act lawfully and in the best interest of Algonquin Township residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? I think we almost covered everybody.
I have a public comment, because the Open Meetings Act states that any person may speak. I just want to say that on no less than 4 occasions, this board has violated the Open Meetings Act by interrupting, speaking over, and literally laughing at a public constituent while they were speaking. And I apologize on behalf of this board to those of you who that happened to.
Okay. Anybody else?
I have one little comment. Apologize for yourself, not for all of us. You don't speak for all of us. That's why we have a board. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
I actually have a comment as well. The person that overheard the terrible things that Deb Johnson did say was my husband, and I'd like it to be on record that he is a police officer and he would not lie about something like that. Also, I'd like on record that I never once ever laid a hand on Deb Johnson, and I would also like on record that when I approached her at the last meeting, I had Richard Alexander, who is the assessor, with me, and I very respectfully apologize for any misinterpretation of our interactions from that meeting after she had spoken. That's all I have to say.
And you're a liar also.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I think we have everyone. Okay. All right. Mr. Attorney, you want I would like to go to new business.
And I've got a screenshot.
I'd like to know new business, please, ma'am, let us continue on with our business. Expenditure of the motor fuel tax funds. This is an agenda item put on by the highway commissioner. And I'd like to get a motion as well as signatures from the trustees to certify that the above named Township Board of Trustees do hereby approve the attached motor tax program as established by the road commissioner for expenditure of motor tax fuel funds on non-dedicated subdivision roads established prior to July 23rd, 1959, in accordance with the applicable provisions of Chapter 605 of the Illinois Code, 5/6-701-8 of the Illinois Highway Code. Can I get a motion?
You want someone else to make a motion?
Second.
All right. Make a motion.
Any discussion? I think this is the one we can, did we get second?
Karen, is this an original? It's got blue signature.
All right.
Check yours and see if the
He
next
puts it
thing.
in, he puts it in color,
Oh, all right.
but that's not the one you just signed, this is the back you just signed.
Okay.
It's the original.
So, I have a motion and a second, and, can we get a, roll call vote? 1, 2, 3. We don't need any discussion, right?
That's the package.
All right, yeah.
Sorry, that's it.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Why wasn't this done in 2017?
I said all wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know anything. I don't know.
No discussion.
You did discussion? We have a motion and discussion.
I'd like to have a motion and discussion of why this wasn't done in 2017.
Well, we have a motion. Well, let's, we have a motion and a second in this discussion.
Why wasn't this done in 2017?
I don't know.
I don't know that it wasn't done. I believe it was done. But I don't have any proof of that either in my hand.
I just had a question, I was just wondering why it wasn't.
Okay.
Do you know?
All right, can we get a roll call on this then, please? Roll call.
Victor?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Shay?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Bledsoe?
Yes. Okay, we had a request to put on topic, township topic days update. Did anyone want to speak on that or? Any
Yeah.
trustees?
Sure.
Thank you.
What a great time it was down in Springfield. What a really good opportunity to meet with our legislators and their staff, their secretaries and staff, which was a big part of the purpose of going down to Springfield. Both chambers were in session. There was probably downstairs in the rotunda, there were probably 5 or 6 different groups that were there, talking and demonstrating, and so it was exciting. Good for us to go down there and network with not only our legislators, but also other township officials. And that gave us an opportunity to go there. And that, at that topics day, I was happy to attempt to reach, out to our senators for our area, but unfortunately they were actually in session, and so we couldn't break in to them. But it was a good opportunity for us to go down there.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah. I went, I guess naively, believing that this so-called Township Topics Day was an educational event to learn about bills which would affect township government and to speak with our legislators, speak with other township officials throughout the state. And upon further research and upon arriving, I found that we were all given, all of these township officials from throughout the state were literally, quite literally, handed packets of the township officials of Illinois' opinionated synopsis of each bill, which they deemed relevant to townships, along with a red or green township TOI opposes or TOI supports. And then we were literally shuttle bused to the Capitol buildings and the representatives and congressmen's buildings, office buildings, to, and I quote, lobby on behalf of this non-governmental entity's organization in their best interest rather than the best interest of our Algonquin Township constituents. I feel like it was a complete waste of time, with the exception of what I learned from other township officials. And I did learn a few things from other the legislators that I did meet. I did not do any lobbying, especially on behalf of the specific bills which they coincidentally are dependent upon for their very own existence. By they, I mean township officials of Illinois. So that's my update, and that's my opinion, and why I believe that this is not an appropriate use of taxpayer funds, and I will not be participating again. And I am surprised, shocked even, that this was the 36th annual. So for 36 years, you guys, you taxpayers of Algonquin Township have been paying for trustees to go and lobby on behalf of a non-government organization which does not represent your interests. That's all.
Anybody else? Okay. As you see here, we have used the same auditor for a number of years, and it's been advised by our accountants as well as the attorneys that you need to change up auditors every so many years because, what's that? You need to change up auditors every so many years. So we had our office call all the townships, ask them who they use, and we got proposals and did the best job we could to find someone. I've actually had some, not work with them, but no others work, and we're gonna switch auditors. It's gonna be a little bit more expensive, but I feel that they're gonna be much more thorough. This is a professional services, which is under $20,000, so I don't necessarily have to take it to the board, but I would still feel much more comfortable asking the board to let me go ahead and hire GRA out of Crystal Lake for the amount not to exceed $12,000. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second that motion to support.
Roll call, please.
I would just say, Chuck, if you want to do that and you do want to solicit our support, then maybe you send us something about GRA.
I did.
You
Sent you a whole packet,
Oh,
including the phone calls, a copy of the phone calls that my staff made to all the
okay,
townships.
so that's fine. We'll check that. Thanks. No, I can't.
All right, so we have a roll call?
Victor,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Shay,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
what's up?
Yes. Okay, as you know, there are some services, such as senior services, the township provides, and we've had a bingo machine that has not worked for quite some time. We do not want to go out and spend $15,000 for some brand new one. Our office, once again, did some research, and they found a company that would be able to provide us with a refurbished one for approximately $3,000. Once again, I think I have the authority to go out and make that purchase, but I prefer to bring things to the board and to the public. And so I request a vote to purchase a refurbished bingo machine not to exceed $3,500. And hopefully it'll be less.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Sorry.
Roll call?
Discussion?
Yes.
Under township code, in Dylan's rule, we are, as townships, we're very unique from other municipalities in that we are very limited by statute in the authorities which we can perform. One of those specifically, explicitly stated authorities is to establish a committee on senior services which may expend funds for the benefit of the senior population. I have a problem with calling this a senior event without doing it by the book and having a committee on senior services. So I can't support just the supervisor's purchase of a bingo machine without it being a completely public bingo machine, which actually is still not a purpose of townships, so no.
Well, it actually, anyone can come to the bingo. That's seniors. Is there any reason why we can't do it?
Well, you can also, I mean, one of the services that townships also can provide, which is specifically enumerated, is provide recreational facilities. Now, I've never known or provide recreation. It says specifically in the code. So, and use, expense for recreation. So I assume you can, I think you can do this with no problem. I don't think you have the authority to enter into this agreement and purchase it without board approval. I see no reason why you can't do it.
Okay. I guess, do we have any more discussion?
Is this on top of the several dozen dozens of donuts that we purchase for those bingo attendees each week?
Yes, that would be.
The hundreds of dollars each week that we spend on donuts for them.
Yes. Okay, roll call.
Victor?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Shay?
Yes.
Lawrence?
No.
What's up?
Yes. Okay. There was a resolution requesting all attorneys doing business with the township must carry practice insurance. Do we have
I move to table until next month, any discussion on this item.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I think that there's many different variations of malpractice and liability insurance. There's errors and omissions insurance, there's liability, there's malpractice, there's many different kinds of legal insurance, which this board, not being lawyers, is not probably privy to. And I think that it should, first, not to mention that we only received this resolution, which was written by Attorney Kelly under very, very, very short notice, less than 24 hours, I believe. I agree it should be tabled.
All right.
Victor?
Voice vote.
I don't know if you need to roll.
Just a voice vote.
Noise?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Office space relocation, Mr. Chairman, can you make a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to table that until next month.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Do we have any approval of executive minutes? Any reason to go in the closed session? Can we get a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, tell me.